Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
Throughout the history of the Jewish people, God has raised up people to rescue them from every scheme of the devil to destroy His people. These men and women have come from humble beginnings to either lead the Jewish people or save them from annihilation. In Genesis, we see Joseph. God allowed his brothers' jealousy to drive them to sell him as a slave. But instead of disappearing from their lives, the Lord positioned him in Egypt so He could rescue them from the famine. God raised him up as second only to Pharaoh so he could put in place safeguards to gather food in good times, so that even when the severe famine came, they would all have plenty to feed not only Egypt, but the surrounding areas, including God's chosen family. Later, God raised up Moses, not just saving him from the slaughter of babies, but making him, a Jewish boy, to be raised up in Pharaoh's household, being educated and trained so that later he could lead the whole population of Israelites out of Egypt to their promised land. The Lord anointed David, a shepherd boy, and raised him up to be king of Israel. He even made sure David spent time in King Saul's court to have some leadership training. When God sent His people into captivity, He raised up Daniel, a godly young man who became an advisor to the kings of Babylon. Eventually, Daniel was made prime minister. God doesn't use only Jewish people either. He raised up Persian King Cyrus to decree that his people could return to their land. The Lord especially positioned Esther, raised her up from an orphan Jewish girl to the Queen of Persia, as her cousin Mordecai told her, for such a time as this, so she could prevent evil Haman's scheme of annihilating the Jews. Then, God raised up Mordecai into Haman's position as prime minister. A little later, God raises up Nehemiah, who also has a prominent job in the king of Persia's court, to lead a group of Jews back to rebuild Jerusalem and its walls, so the returned exiles could have security. Even in the intertestamental times, God raised up Mattathias, a priest, and his son Judas Maccabeus to revolt against the Seleucid ruler Antiochus Epiphanes, who was attempting to eradicate all Jewish religious practices. In the New Testament, God chose fishermen, a tax collector, a zealot, and several other ordinary men to take the gospel to the ends of the earth. God sets different people apart, raises them up for His purposes for a specific time in history. Yes, these are some extraordinary examples of people He used to save a whole race of people or to do something equally amazing. But God has a purpose for each one of us. He puts us in specific positions in His timing to do specific things. What has He called you to do? What has He raised you up for?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes on our website, which you can find in the description below. Thank you for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.